Good morning. It's been 38 years since um, Operation Hooper in southeast Angola, which I was involved in. And it is exactly at this time. We started there in November, end of November 1987, and it lasted all the way into middle of March 1988. So for the next couple of months, I will bring you a report of what happened, my experiences during Operation Hooper, and correlate those days to where we are right now. So at the end of November, we flew in from Bloemfontein in South Africa up to Rundu, that's on the border of Southwest Africa and Angola, where we landed on the base, be there on the ground for about 3 hours, and then flew into Mavinga, just across the border, in C-130s. Once we arrived at Mavinga at night, it was a flight in the dark, low level. We got off the plane, and then the plane disappeared again. And then we were there at night, just spend the night next to the airfield in the dark. And the next morning we met, walked in a little bit of a distance, and we met our fighting group guys that just completed Operation Modular. And they were handing over all the equipment to us to start Operation Hooper. So from that on until today's December 5, the first week, we were just spending in Mavinga area, servicing the vehicles, make sure everything is correct and in working order, loading equipment, loading ammunition, test firing weapons. That's what we did the first week. So on today's video, I will cover then the enemy situation, where it was, where they were deployed, and so on during this first week. So the main source of our information, intelligence, came from UNITA, but like with Operation Modular, the UNITA sources, information sources, was not very good. So the South African military also deployed members, Rakis from 5 and 1, number 5 and number 1 reconnaissance unit, special forces in the area, and they were actually way better information we got from them that we got from UNITA. So this is the situation at that stage where the people were deployed. So from the end of November, when we did this takeover, and the first couple of weeks of December, before we started moving to the front, we had our own artillery hitting targets of opportunity in southeast Angola to make sure they don't move down towards us. And so the artillery we used in South African Army at that stage was the G5. Most of it was used by G5. It's a 155 millimeter howitzers. And at that stage, it was the range was up to about 42 kilometers that they were able to strike. So that helped us a lot to keep the enemy on a distance. So anything that was moving east of the Quito River and anything near Quito Carnival, that was enemy activities, and those special forces guys and the OPs for the artillery guys, when they notice something, they direct fire towards it. So that's what they kept their heads down while we were preparing in the background. Then there were also logistics convoys moving between Longa and Menong. Between that area, they transported in logistics, and from Menong down to Quito Carnival and down to where the enemy forces was deployed. And those were hit quite often by our South African Air Force, by Mirage F1AZs, during some days, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes late in the evening or so on, whenever they moved, because we couldn't have our fighter jets go all the way there during the daylight time too much because of the distance from the base we operated them from, and they couldn't get involved in dogfights with MiG-23s or MiG-21s. It's too far from home base. So just to make a sense then of what the situation was on the ground, at this stage, early in December, FAPLA was seriously recruiting soldiers, recruiting and retraining to replace all the losses they had during Operation Modular and to be ready for us later on for Operation Hooper. Now, here was the deployment of the enemy. The first defense echelon. They deployed 25 Brigade was the first brigade that was deployed. They were deployed north of the Shambinga Bridge. And their defenses was towards the east, mainly towards the east. Sometimes they deployed some small Raki units south of the bridge just to look out for South Africans in the area. But we were not there right there. We were back at Mavinga. Only the artillery pieces was up front, but not close to that area where they were deployed. 59 Brigade, they was deployed north of 25th Brigade, and their defenses was also to the east, so they expected us to come in from the east to strike them, so most of their defenses was deployed in the east. And then 21 Brigade, they deployed south of the Quito River, and their defenses was towards the east and some northeast and southeast. That was their defenses and that was all the first defense echelon for FAPLA. The second defense echelon was battalion positions that was southeast of the Tumpu area, small battalion positions they had there, southeast of Tumpu area. And they also had 66 Brigade deployed a big logistics base in the Tumpu area. And then 26 Brigade, they deployed north of the Tumpu area. So that in the Tumpu area, we had some battalion positions, but mostly 26 Brigade as a defensive and 66 Brigade as a logistics base. The third line then, or the third defense echelon, was then 13 Brigade. They deployed at Cuitucanaval to protect the town. They also had the Cubans, a battalion of Cubans with them inside Cuitucanaval, and the rest of the Cuban regiment was deployed east of Cuitucanaval from where they will support FAPA forces to defend against us. So that's it for the first week. Up until this time, December the 5th, we were just still fighting, training there in the Mavinga area, setting in weapons and everything, logistics, load everything and make sure everything is fine. And then slowly we started the march to the front throughout the month of December. So we were close to the front at the end of December. So this is my first episode. I will do some more as we go. Some days I'll skip over a couple of days if there was not a lot of things happen in those days. And I will do all of these programs in English for our international visitors. And then also I will identify, and if you want to, you can ask questions below the video if you're not sure weapon systems I'm talking about. I'll try and identify all the weapon systems as I talk about it. But that's it for the first week of Operation Hooper back in early December 1987. See you again with the next episode in a couple of days.